The story begins with Deadpool, of a rather unusual mood. He's feeling reflective. Yes, the wisecracking, fourth wall-breaking anti-hero, but this time, he's not in a fight, not cracking his usual chaotic jokes. For someone who's usually cracking jokes and slicing through enemies with ease, this new side of him feels different. He's tired of being the oddball anti-hero. He wants something bigger, something more meaningful. In short, Deadpool wants to be an Avenger. Yes, that Avengers the team with the mighty Thor, brilliant Tony Stark. Well, he's gone now, and Captain America. Deadpool tries everything to gain their attention. He sends emails, creates video applications, and even sneaks into Stark Tower, but none of it works. For the first time in a long time, Deadpool feels genuinely rejected. He starts selling cars. He swapped his katanas for a tie, and his sarcasm has found a new outlet in the form of witty one-liners about vehicle warranties. His partner in this mundane endeavor, his ever-loyal, slightly clueless friend, Peter. Together, they run a car dealership, trying to live a life free from violence and superhero antics. Why, you ask? Well, after countless failed attempts to join the Avengers, including one particularly humiliating rejection from Happy Hogan, Deadpool meets Happy in an office, spilling his heart out about wanting to join the Avengers. But Happy, unamused, dismisses him outright. He tells Deadpool the Avengers don't just take anyone who can swing a sword or toss a punch. They need real heroes who don't need to be heroes, but people need them to be. Deadpool decided he was done. He felt unwanted, purposeless, and decided to suppress everything that made him him. On the surface, it seemed like he was content with this new life, but inside, he was a man battling an identity crisis. Fast forward to Deadpool's birthday. His small group of friends, Peter, his blind roommate and others, gathered to celebrate in the most mediocre way imaginable. Just as he blew out the candle on the cake, the room darkened, and in walked agents from the Time Variance Authority, TVA. The TVA wasn't there to join the festivities. They were there on a mission to capture Deadpool and give him a purpose. Mobius explained that Deadpool's timeline was collapsing. A Nexus event had caused it to spiral out of control, and it needed to be eradicated. For a moment, Deadpool was silent. It wasn't the usual sarcastic silence. It was the kind that came with the weight of something bigger than himself. He looked at a picture they had taken at his birthday a while ago, and saw the friends who cared enough to celebrate him, and something clicked. Mobius, seeing Deadpool's hesitation, dangled an offer, purpose. He told Deadpool that by helping the TVA eliminate his timeline, he could bring order to the multiverse, a chance to finally matter in a bigger way. Deadpool listened, but wasn't convinced. His world, flawed as it was, still had value. And then, Mobius dropped the bombshell. Wolverine Logan himself had died saving someone in Deadpool's timeline. That loss was part of the timeline's instability. Instead of agreeing to the TVA's plan, Deadpool had another idea. If Wolverine's death had caused the instability, then the solution was simple. Find a version of Wolverine from another timeline who could help restore balance, using a time control device he sneakily borrowed. After breaking Mobius's nose, of course, Deadpool embarked on a journey through the multiverse. The first timeline Deadpool landed in was unsettling. There was a Wolverine, but this version was filled with rage and the thirst for vengeance. Deadpool tried reasoning with him, but was met with growls and claws, so he jumped to the next timeline, then the next. Each Wolverine he encountered was different, but equally unsuitable. One was a pacifist, another was more machine than man, and one was simply too old and broken to help. Deadpool, ever the optimist in his own twisted way, didn't give up. Finally, he stumbled upon a timeline where Wolverine was alive and relatively normal. This Wolverine, disillusioned with life, reluctantly agreed to come along. When they returned to the TVA, Mobius and the agents were unimpressed. Logan looked anything but heroic, disheveled, drunk, and utterly uninterested in saving anything. Deadpool, however, saw potential. Frustrated by Deadpool's antics, Mobius decided to teach him a lesson. He sent Deadpool and Logan to the multiverse's version of a junkyard dimension where discarded timelines and dangerous anomalies were dumped. It was here that they encountered Cassandra Nova. It was a grim, haunting place, and Logan's already low tolerance for nonsense began to wane. Their encounter with Cassandra Nova was anything but subtle. She appeared as a commanding figure, her presence alone radiating an aura of control and menace. Logan, however, saw the danger they were in. As she spoke, he noticed the twisted remnants of lives she had absorbed into a singular vision, a chilling reminder of what was at stake. Cassandra, unfazed by their skepticism, offered them a choice: join her in reshaping existence, or be absorbed by the other dreadful being. Deadpool, always one for a gamble, responded with a fight. Cassandra's reaction was swift. Using her telepathic abilities, she immobilized Logan and Deadpool, delving into his minds to exploit his vulnerabilities. Deadpool's thoughts were a chaotic mess of humor masking deep-seated pain. She lingered too long in Deadpool's mind, and her concentration faltered just long enough for Logan to break free. Logan, claws bared, launched himself at Cassandra. As they escaped Cassandra's lair, they found themselves in a bizarre corner of this discarded world, a place where timelines collided. There, they encountered an alternate version of Deadpool, a strikingly different one. This Deadpool had a perfectly chiseled face, long flowing hair, and an eternally sunny disposition. He was polite, calm, and seemed more like a motivational speaker than a mercenary. Beside him was a cheerful golden retriever that immediately ran to Deadpool, tail wagging in excitement. "Is this what I'd look like if I had Botox and a personality transplant?" the real Deadpool quipped, half amused, half disturbed. The nice Deadpool, ever gracious, offered them a car to help on their journey. It was a shiny vintage convertible that seemed entirely out of place in the desolate surroundings. They drove off, but the camaraderie was short-lived. After parking in a wooded area to rest, tensions boiled over. Deadpool's constant chatter grated on Logan's nerves, and what started as a heated argument quickly turned into an all-out brawl. They fought with everything they had: claws against katanas, brute strength against sheer unpredictability. As they lay on the forest floor, bruised and breathless, a realization dawned. Logan might have been a drunk, but he wasn't useless. His fighting spirit remained unbroken. And in that moment, Deadpool found a newfound respect for him. Their brawl was cut short when they discovered their car was being towed by none other than X-23, Blade, Gambit, and Elektra. The group of unlikely heroes had been stranded in this chaotic world, each with their own reasons for wanting to return home. After explaining their mission, Deadpool and Logan managed to convince them to team up. Together, they hatched a plan to confront Cassandra Nova and restore balance to their worlds. The group devised a bold strategy to neutralize Cassandra's powers. They acquired Juggernaut's indestructible helmet, a relic that could shield against psychic attacks. Deadpool, with his usual flair, dubbed it the anti-Cassandra cap. In a dramatic showdown, they managed to place the helmet on Cassandra, rendering her telepathic abilities useless. But instead of defeating her outright, Wolverine took a different approach. He appealed to her humanity, revealing a devastating truth. Professor X, her brother, never knew she existed. If he had, he would have moved mountains to find her. For the first time, Cassandra hesitated. Her relentless quest for control was born out of a desire to be seen and acknowledged. Wolverine's words struck a chord, and she agreed to send them home on one condition: using Doctor Strange's time control finger rings, recovered from another discarded timeline. Cassandra opened the portal back to their respective world, but as the portal stabilized, an unexpected twist unfolded. Multiple versions of Deadpool from across the multiverse began emerging, each more bizarre than the last. There was a pirate Deadpool, a cowboy Deadpool, even a baby Deadpool in a mech suit. The real Deadpool was ecstatic. "It's like looking in a really, really weird mirror." Cassandra Nova emerged from the portal. Her malevolent intent was clear. She wasted no time, storming the TVA headquarters. The timeline monitors were already activating the destruction of Deadpool's chaotic multiverse timelines. Cassandra, ever ambitious, made her way to Mobius, compelling him to reveal the location of the control room. Her plan was diabolical. Reach the two towering energy pillars, siphon their immense temporal energy into herself, and become the omnipotent ruler of all timelines. With her unmatched psychic abilities and cunning, she bypassed security and began the process of activation. Meanwhile, Deadpool and Wolverine, battle-scarred but determined, arrived at the TVA headquarters. Mobius met them with grim news. If either of you goes down there, you won't survive. That energy will consume you whole. The two heroes exchanged a look. For all their bickering and banter, they knew what had to be done. Together, they descended into the underground levels, navigating the labyrinthine halls to reach the vaults beneath Cassandra's activation chamber. Above them, Cassandra was already beginning to absorb the energy. The room glowed with an ethereal, destructive light as timelines fractured and coalesced around her. At the vault door, Deadpool and Wolverine found themselves at an impasse. The room was designed to reverse the process, but only by channeling all the volatile energy into one person a task. No one could survive. You're not going in there, Wolverine growled, claws unsheathed. Deadpool tilted his head, his usual smirk absent. Logan, let's face it, I'm the walking punchline. If anyone's going to go out in a blaze of glory, it should be me. The two began to argue, each insisting on taking the risk, but Deadpool, in a rare moment of sincerity, locked Wolverine out of the room with a swift kick of a lever. Don't worry, buddy, Deadpool said with a grin. If I die, you can name a taco stand after me. He didn't say that inside the vault, Deadpool activated the reversal mechanism. Energy surged through him, his regenerative powers pushed to their limits. Cassandra, sensing the disruption, screamed in fury from above, doubling her efforts to absorb the power. Locked outside, Wolverine's anger boiled over. With a primal roar, he began clawing at the heavy door, each strike echoing with desperation. Finally, he broke through just as Deadpool was on the verge of collapse. Wolverine rushed to Deadpool's side, gripping his hand tightly. You're not doing this alone, he growled. Together, they absorbed the overwhelming energy, their combined resilience barely enough to withstand its intensity. The process reversed, and the room exploded in a blinding burst of light. Above them, Cassandra's ambitions unraveled. Unable to contain the backlash of the energy, she was consumed by it, her form disintegrating into nothingness. When the light faded, Deadpool and Wolverine found themselves alive, though battered and bruised. The timelines were stabilizing, and the TVA systems hummed with renewed balance. Back in his timeline, Deadpool returned to his chaotic, but oddly comforting life. From the battle, he brought back the dog belonging to the kind, smiling version of himself, a small reminder of the better side of his fractured existence. But Deadpool wasn't content with just that. He saw the loneliness in Wolverine's eyes and decided to fix it in his own quirky way. He introduced Wolverine to his eccentric circle of friends, including his blind no-nonsense roommate. Through their unlikely bond, the gruff and isolated Wolverine found a strange but genuine sense of belonging. The worst version of Wolverine had transformed into the best version of himself in Deadpool's world. And so, the story ended not with a bang, but with two unlikely heroes finding purpose in their chaotic lives.